Hey, Kai here from Family Wheels with another car review for your growing family. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on the bottom right to catch brand new reviews every single week. But we're back into a compact hatch this week. It's the 2020 Mazda 3 Sport. We know Mazdas drive great these days. We know they've got fantastic interiors, but can this function as an all-round everyday family vehicle? Let's go drive it and find out. The 2020 Mazda 3 Sport this week on Family Wheels. So Mazda's up to 6 million cumulative sales of the Mazda 3. This is the fourth generation, which underwent a complete redesign for 2019, which brought in the option of all-wheel drive, which is pretty big for this sector. It's got the new stronger, stiffer and lighter chassis for better handling. That chassis has also got less holes in it for a quieter ride. This definitely has a very nice, comfortable and quiet cabin. You've got a compact hatch that still has all the technology and driver safety features that you get in larger vehicles. And Mazda, dare I say, has the best interiors for a non-premium brand. But look at this design that carries over. You've got nice, thin, edgy, sharp lines through it. That recognizable Mazda nose with the drop-off over the grille. And then you've got the back end, which is one of the great things, but also one of the downfalls of this particular car. Not only does this generation have slightly smaller specifications of leg room and headroom and shoulder room than the previous generation, but you've also got a higher ratio of those outer panels versus windows, which leads to a somewhat cramped feel. Like, look at these back windows. They are much smaller. You've got these big exterior panels to help with the looks of it, but what it means is you've got poor sight lines. Like when you check your shoulder this way, all you're doing is looking at massive blind spots. It also makes things feel just a little bit more cramped and darker in here with that less natural light, even though the hatchback has the same specifications as the sedan in terms of your rear leg, shoulder and headroom as well. And being too cramped and too small is probably not something you want people saying when you're going up against some pretty heavy hitters like the Honda Civic hatch, the Corolla hatch, and also the Subaru Impreza, which has all-wheel drive as standard. But before we get to our couple of tests to find out if this is actually functional for a family, let's find out how you can actually set your Mazda 3 Sport up to really suit you, because there's a couple of different combinations you can put together which make it really nice and a really flexible car, to be honest. To begin with, you've got the two engine options in Canada. It starts with the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine with 155 horsepower. The US only has the one option, which is the 2.5-litre 4-cylinder with cylinder deactivation to help out with a bit of fuel economy. That puts out 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. So that's what this has got in it. This has the front-wheel drive, 186 horsepower, 2.5-litre engine with a manual transmission. You can choose between, on most of them, you can choose between manual and the 6-speed automatic transmission. However, if you do go for all-wheel drive, it's the automatic transmission only. And with its competitors like the Civic and like the Corolla and like the Impreza, they all have the CVT with the automatic, but Mazda, as they've done with a bunch of their different cars, have stuck with the 6-speed automatic transmission, which I would prefer any day of the week, to be quite honest with you. I don't like the sound that the CVT puts out. However, they all offer a standard transmission, which is probably one of those final last sectors of the market that is really offering a standard transmission pretty much among all its competitors. So this one's a 6-speed, it's nice and easy, it's well positioned, the clutch is easy, and the all-wheel drive is an option. It'll cost you an extra $1,700 in Canada, and you always have people in the comments that'll say, why do you need all-wheel drive? It is very, very wet here on the West Coast. We've had a bit of snow this year. Apart from that, we've just finished a 42 out of 43 day run of rain. So when you are putting your foot down a little bit, to have a bit more traction with all-wheel drive is a really nice thing to have. However, with this one, with the 186 horsepower with the 2.5-litre, I didn't notice as much wheel spin compared to some others that might be a little bit more powered, but it did happen a little bit. And if you happen to have some snow about the place, having all-wheel drive is just peace of mind, especially when you've got a family. But fuel economy is actually a major plus for it as well, especially with that lower powered engine. So the 2.5-litre 4-cylinder, you're getting 6.6 litres on the highway and 9.2 litres per 100 in the city, which is 35 mile a gallon on the highway and 25 mile to the gallon in the city. So let's take a look in the back here, because this is a worrisome place in terms of if you're going to choose this as a family car. The trunk, not so much. The trunk on this one is actually pretty decent. This will give you 569 litres of cargo space back there, which is about 20 cubic feet. So it passed our standardized test of the stroller, 2 bags of shopping, camera bag, you got the soccer ball. It passes it no problem. Compared to the Mazda 3 sedan, this has a bunch more. That has about 345 litres or about 12 cubic feet of space in the trunk. It doesn't have as much as the Civic though. The Civic in this sector actually leads the way. It's got over 700 litres of cargo space or about 25 cubic feet. The least goes to the Corolla, and the Subaru Impreza is about exactly the same as this. So that's not a problem. The trunk's okay. It's the back seat here which can be a bit of a problem. So our rear facing kid seat, on purpose we use the chunkiest kid seat you can possibly find, which is the Collect Flow. It's really tight. Not a lot of space up the front here. I would use a smaller one like the Diono. Even when they're front facing, you can see both my kids, not a huge amount of leg room for them to maybe step into the car, into the footwell here by themselves and then get them onto their seat. So it is really tight in the back, and certainly for adults as well in the back here. However, they have carved out the back of the seat. So if you've got an adult back there, at least your knees will be able to sort of fit into the back of the front seat here. One thing they have managed to do though, even though they've got lots of that exterior paneling and the smaller windows, the door frames are still kept pretty high and square, making it somewhat easier to get kids in and out, even adults in and out. And also the doors open up to a pretty decent angle to give you a bit more leverage there as well. The kids' anchor points are easily exposed, easy to find. That part of it's not a problem. In terms of storage on the inside, I think this car actually, when I've talked about Mazda doing their interiors really, really well, this has more practical interior storage space than the Toyota RAV4 that I was driving last week. Total different class of vehicle, but you would expect the RAV4 to have a lot more storage space. So the door trimmings, the tubs have got some. This is really big and really, moves around. We've got more storage up the front and beverage holders here. The door tubs on the back as well. Where it is missing, and I don't know why they've done this, but I guess it's because of the tight space in the back, there's a pocket on the back of the passenger seat, but the back of the driver's seat, for some reason, maybe it's because this side is electric adjustable with some lumbar support and this one is all manual on this side, but this doesn't even have a pocket in the back. But in terms of what this car is, the size and everything, you've got plenty of storage, you've got plenty of trunk space. The one place it does lack is in the back there with the leg room, and then just as I was talking about with those panels and those small windows, it just makes it feel a little bit more cramped as well. That is a big downfall of this car, but where everything else is actually really good. I mean, beautiful Bose sound system, which is terrific. The center console is wider, but I've still got plenty of leg room for the driver here. I'm 6 foot and I got lots of room. The steering wheel is beautiful. It's a 3-spoke. It looks almost Audi-esque. And then you've got Mazda Connect, which I think is actually a really, really good system. It sort of mirrors a lot of what BMW is doing with their iDrive system, but they've placed their screen up here, which is about an 8.8-inch screen here, and they've inset it and sunken it a little bit. Otherwise, it would be in the way and in your sight lines, and they've positioned it really beautifully. So big screen, but dropped it down without blocking any of the screen, and then you can control that down here with your wheel and your different navigation buttons. And they've put the volume knob down here. Thank you very much. That also allows you to push between radio stations and also tracks on your media playing device and everything. Bluetooth connectivity is fast, efficient, it's clear. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, so that all works as well. These seats are also heated. The steering wheel is heated. They've got 3 heating settings, and your climate control is down here with a kind of almost retro classic looking cluster of buttons here. I like the horizontal buttons up here for your AC and everything. It's all quite small and simple. They've utilized the space really well. Okay, so 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine, 186 horsepower. How did the kids like it with the kids pep test?
That's a loud guy cat.
How was that?
That was good.
While it's certainly enough power for a small compact hatch, if you want more power, you can go to something like the Golf GTI, which I'll get to, like in terms of price, starts only a little bit more than this, and it has way more power to it. But it just seems like a rather large engine size to be going for the compact hatch. Like a 4-cylinder 2.5 for this, you might expect them to have got a bit more horsepower out of it, but 186 horsepower for this car is more than enough. You will notice that, I mean, the interior interior, the ride in this is very quiet. Their cabins on Mazda, I drove the Mazda 6 just recently, and that was very similar, super quiet inside. And when you are driving a manual, that can actually be almost to its detriment, because this engine is pretty quiet, the interior is quiet, and if you've got the music up just a little bit, which I've had, I haven't been able to hear the engine while I'm sort of just minding my own business, changing gears. So I've had to turn the music right down just so I can hear the revs and I guess naturally, subconsciously know when to change gears. The Mazda 3 Sport starts at $21,300, which is actually $3,000 more than the sedan, and all-wheel drive starts at $27,000, which is in the GS, the middle trim. Now this one is tested. This is $30,395, which included the freight and the PDI. And if you go to the very top, the GT Premium all-wheel drive with the automatic, that's $31,500. In the US, it starts a little bit higher because you don't have that 2-liter engine option. So front-wheel drive at the bottom end is $23,700, and all-wheel drive at the top trim is $28,900. So that's the 2020 Mazda 3 Sport. Hopefully you found that review useful. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can catch new reviews every single week. Until next time, from Family Wheels, I'm Kai.